Today I want to talk about my wife's last 4 or 5 months before she passed away in February of 2020. And the reason why I talk about this is not to, disparage my wife, but really to help others and to see if any of this is relatable to you in yourself or if you have a family member. And really the biggest takeaway here with this video is that when someone loses their purpose, when they don't have a reason to get up in the morning other than to drink, it's a big red flag that they're knocking on heaven's door, when they're not able to really function as a human being, and they're not able to make decisions, anything beyond, where's my alcohol today? Then you've got a very, very serious problem. And if you can recognize that in a loved one, well, you have two choices. You can either do, major intervention, or it's time to make amends and prepare for the worst. And that's really the options that are available. So let's delve into this a little bit. And in my wife's case, in September of 2019, she had a major surgery. She had a knee replacement. So she was really bedridden, and I thought, she wouldn't be able to have access to alcohol. Unfortunately, nothing could be further from the truth. She ended up figuring out how to get DoorDash, so they would deliver cases of beer, essentially, the last 4 or 5 months of her life. That's what she drank. And she also had a close friend who was also having a drinking problem, and she would bring over bottles of wine. Unfortunately, during this period, I was an insurance agent working 12 to 18 hours a day, and I really just didn't have time for it. It was just at a period in my life. We had dropped our son off at college, and I was kind of over it, and I really needed to focus on my job. That's one people wondering where I am. So she was spending, not kidding, 12, 18 hours a day drinking and watching, I think she was watching Gilmore Girls and A Handmaid's Tale. Almost like all day long. That's all she was doing, watching reruns and binge drinking and binge watching on these shows. And that was her whole focus. She didn't leave the house. She just sat there and drank and watched television. And it was a very sad existence. And you have to realize, if this is the first time you're seeing this, a lot of this might not make sense, but my wife had already gone through 6 rehabs. She had 4 DUIs. She had court-ordered inpatient and outpatient care. She'd been in group therapy for months and months and months, only to come home to buy, alcohol on the way home. Nothing was really working. She had a breathalyzer in her car. Her license had been suspended. She had warrants. She was uninsurable, and she really wasn't able to drive. She wasn't legally able to get behind the wheel of a car. And really, the last 6 months of her life, there was no way. I just hid the car keys completely. There's no way she could get near them, because she was a danger to herself and anybody else around her. And it was a very sad situation. At that point, after the Christmas holidays of 2019, I had decided that she was going to go back into a rehab, and then to a sober living facility, probably a year. And at that point, I was really just going to part ways. There's no way. There comes a time where you just can't exist in this world anymore. And unfortunately, when I dropped her off, excuse me, in her 7th rehab, she fell down a flight of stairs, only being there for a day, and that set off a whole chain reaction where she went to UCLA, and she ended up having 12 surgeries, and basically her organs, really almost every organ in her body began to fail. And eventually, in late February, they had to call it. And they called me up and said there's just nothing else we can do for her after a long series of events. I have many videos on this, but it's a very unfortunate thing, because the real death was the death of purpose. And if you have someone in your life who is in this situation, recognize it. It's probably way too late. I don't mean to be dismal, but it's likely. On that note, if you'd like to join our Facebook group, we have a very good support group for families and for people who are struggling with addiction. It's called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. It's become a very good support group, and it's a safe place to talk about your issues and your family issues. Also, please like, share, and comment. I also have a coaching program called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. If you're ready to set up and talk to me and work with me individually, you can set the Zoom call. It's in my link tree in my bio. And again, thanks for listening.